Welcome to an extraordinary journey of discovery through 6 of the world's most majestic natural wonders. From the majestic cliffs of Scandinavia to the volcanic landscapes of Indonesia, from the geological wonders of North America to the windswept plateaus of South America, we're about to explore places where nature has painted masterpieces that took millions of years to create. These aren't just beautiful locations on a map. They're living testaments to the raw power and artistic genius of our planet. Each destination we'll explore today tells a story of geological forces, ancient cultures, and the delicate balance between human wonder and environmental preservation. We'll stand where continents are literally tearing apart, witness sunrise over volcanic calderas, marvel at lakes that change colors with the seasons, and walk through caves carved entirely from volcanic rock. But here's a question I want you to ponder as we journey together. What is it about these natural wonders that draws millions of people from every corner of the globe? Is it the Instagram-worthy photos, the thrill of adventure, or something deeper? Perhaps a fundamental human need to connect with the forces that shaped our world. Before you embark on this journey, hit the subscribe button now to avoid missing out on our travel guides, and don't forget to check out the links in the description below for exclusive deals on flights and accommodation to help make your dream trip a reality. Now, let the adventure begin. Pulpit Rock, Patagonia, Norway. Pulpit Rock is located in southwestern Norway, in the municipality of Strand in Rogaland County, overlooking the stunning Lysefjord. This massive cliff formation sits approximately 15 miles from the city of Stavanger, Norway's 4th largest city. The plateau itself measures roughly 82 by 82 feet and stands as a testament to the incredible power of ice. About 10,000 years ago, during the last ice age, glacial meltwater created deep cracks in the mountain, and as temperatures fluctuated, the freeze-thaw cycle literally broke off massive chunks of rock. What remained was this spectacular flat-topped precipice that juts out over the fjord like nature's own observation deck. The geological composition is primarily Precambrian granite and gneiss, some of the oldest rock formations on Earth, dating back over 400 million years. The fjord below was carved by glaciers during multiple ice ages, creating the characteristic U-shaped valley filled with seawater that stretches for 26 miles. Scientists estimate that it will take another few thousand years before the next major rock fall occurs, though smaller pieces occasionally break off, a reminder that this landscape is still evolving. For centuries, Pulpit Rock remained relatively unknown, except to local farmers and shepherds who grazed their animals in the surrounding mountains. The dramatic landscape was simply part of daily life for the hardy Norse communities who settled these challenging terrains over a millennium ago. These descendants of Vikings developed a deep respect for the natural world, and their cultural connection to the fjords and mountains is woven into Norwegian identity through folklore, literature, and art. The transformation of Preikestolen from local secret to international sensation began in the early 1900s when tourism started developing in Norway. However, it wasn't until 1986, when the trail was improved and proper tourist infrastructure was established, that visitor numbers began to climb significantly. The Stavanger Tourist Association recognized the potential and invested in making the site more accessible while maintaining its natural integrity. Today, the 4-mile round-trip hike attracts over 300,000 visitors annually, making it one of Norway's most visited natural attractions. Norwegian culture emphasizes friluftsliv, a philosophy of outdoor life that celebrates time spent in nature as essential to well-being. This cultural value has shaped how Norway manages its natural wonders, balancing accessibility with conservation. The approach to Pulpit Rock exemplifies this. There are no safety railings, no entrance fees, and no restrictions on when you can visit. The Norwegian attitude is one of personal responsibility and respect for nature's power. The journey to Pulpit Rock is as memorable as the destination itself. The hike typically takes about 4 to 5 hours round trip, ascending through diverse Norwegian terrain, from lush forests filled with birch and pine trees to exposed rocky sections where you scramble over smooth glacial rock. Along the way, you'll cross wooden bridges over rushing streams fed by melting snow, pass by crystal-clear mountain lakes that mirror the sky, and encounter fellow adventurers from every continent. What strikes first-time visitors most is the surreal flatness of the plateau contrasted with the sheer drop. When you reach the edge and look down, you'll see the emerald green waters of Lysefjord far below, with cruise ships looking like toys and the occasional kayaker appearing as mere specks. The surrounding landscape reveals layer upon layer of mountains stretching to the horizon, their peaks often crowned with snow even in summer. On clear days, the visibility extends for miles, and the play of light on water and rock creates an ever-changing canvas of colors, deep blues, silvery grays, and rich greens. The best time to visit is during the summer months, May to September, when the weather is most favorable and the trail is free of ice and snow. However, each season offers unique rewards. Autumn brings brilliant foliage colors and fewer crowds. Winter visits require proper equipment and experience, but reward you with a pristine, frozen landscape. Spring showcases waterfalls at their most powerful as snowmelt cascades down the mountainsides. Pulpit Rock represents more than just a stunning photo opportunity. It's a profound reminder of Earth's geological history and the forces that continue to shape our planet. This ancient cliff formation demonstrates how ice, water, and time can create natural architecture that no human could design or build. The Norwegian approach to managing this wonder, trusting visitors to respect nature's power without excessive safety measures, reflects a cultural wisdom about our relationship with the environment. When you stand on that plateau, 2,000 feet above the fjord, you're not just seeing a beautiful view, you're experiencing a moment of connection with geological time and natural majesty that puts our brief human lives in perspective. Mid-Atlantic Rift, ATTHINGVLLIR, Iceland. Thingvellir is located in southwestern Iceland, approximately 25 miles northeast of Reykjavik, the nation's capital. This World Heritage Site sits within a rift valley formed by the divergence of the North American and Eurasian tectonic plates. The park covers approximately 93 square miles of diverse terrain, including the largest natural lake in Iceland, Thingvallavatn, which covers about 32 square miles. The geological drama here is extraordinary. The Mid-Atlantic Ridge, which runs underwater for most of its 10,000-mile length along the Atlantic Ocean floor, surfaces in Iceland due to the presence of a volcanic hotspot beneath the island. At Thingvellir, you can walk through Almannagjá, the Gorge of All Men, a dramatic fissure that represents the actual boundary between tectonic plates. The Rift Valley floor has dropped over 130 feet over the past 10,000 years, creating a landscape of parallel fissures, dramatic cliffs, and rocky outcrops. This isn't ancient, static geology, it's happening right now. Every year, the two plates drift apart by approximately 0.8 inches, causing regular earthquakes and occasional volcanic eruptions. The fissures you see today didn't exist thousands of years ago, and new ones continue to form. Some fissures have filled with crystal-clear glacial water, creating diving and snorkeling sites like Silfra, where you can literally swim between continents in water so pure you can drink it while you dive. Thingvellir holds a position in Icelandic history and culture that transcends its geological importance. In 930 AD, Icelandic chieftains established the Alþingi Althing here, often considered the world's oldest existing parliament. For over 800 years, this was where Icelanders gathered annually to make laws, settle disputes, and conduct the nation's most important business. Visiting Thingvellir is a multi-sensory journey through time and space. As you enter the park, the first thing that strikes you is the sheer scale of the landscape. The Rift Valley stretches before you, with the Ulmanagjar Gorge creating a dramatic wall of volcanic rock rising up to 130 feet high. Walking along the path through this fissure, you're literally walking the boundary of a continent, with North America on one side and Europe on the other. The park's natural beauty extends far beyond geology. Thingvellavatan Lake dominates the landscape, its deep blue waters home to several unique fish species. The lake is fed by underground springs filtered through porous lava rock, making the water exceptionally clear and cold. In winter, the lake sometimes freezes, creating a surreal landscape of ice and snow, while summer brings lush green moss and tiny Arctic flowers that carpet the ground. Water is everywhere at Thingvellir. Besides the lake, there are several significant waterfalls, with Urksarafos being the most famous. This waterfall drops about 70 feet into the Ulmanagjar Gorge, and in winter, it partially freezes into spectacular ice formations. The Silfra Fissure offers one of the world's unique diving experiences, floating between continents in water visibility exceeding 330 feet, with water temperatures hovering around 35-39 degrees F year-round. Thingvellir represents a remarkable convergence of natural wonder and human history. Here, the Earth literally shows us how continents are born and separate, providing a window into processes that usually occur hidden beneath ocean waters. The fact that Iceland's founders chose this geologically active site for their parliament demonstrates an intuitive understanding of place and meaning. They recognized that this landscape, shaped by powerful forces, was the appropriate setting for forging a nation's laws and identity. We are all living on a dynamic, ever-changing planet, and understanding our place in both geological time and human history helps us appreciate the temporary nature of boundaries, whether between continents or between peoples. This park reminds us that what seems solid and permanent is actually in constant, slow motion, and that change, while sometimes imperceptible day to day, is the only constant in nature and in human affairs. Bromo, Indonesia. Mount Bromo sits within the massive Tengah caldera in Bromo Tengah Semeru National Park in East Java, Indonesia, about 90 miles south of Surabaya, the country's second largest city. At 7,641 feet above sea level, Bromo isn't the highest peak in the area. That honor belongs to Mount Semeru, which towers at 12,060 feet and is Java's highest mountain. However, Bromo's accessibility and dramatic setting make it the most visited volcanic attraction in Indonesia. The Tenga caldera itself is an ancient volcanic crater measuring approximately 6 miles in diameter. This massive depression was formed by a catastrophic eruption thousands of years ago that collapsed the mountain's summit. Within this giant crater, several volcanic cones have emerged, with Bromo being the most active and prominent. The volcano stands as a cone within a cone, a geological formation that creates the surreal landscape visitors witness today. What makes Bromo's landscape so otherworldly is the Sea of Sand, a vast plain of volcanic ash and sand that surrounds the volcano like a grey ocean. This 7-square-mile expanse is actually the floor of the ancient Tenga caldera, covered in layers of ash from countless eruptions. Rising from this desolate plain are several volcanic peaks: Mount Bromo, 7,641 feet, Mount Batok, 7,848 feet, which is now dormant and covered with vegetation, and the ever-smoking Mount Kersey. Bromo is highly active, erupting regularly, with major eruptions occurring every few decades and minor activity almost constantly. Smoke and occasionally volcanic ash continuously billow from its crater, and tourists can hike right up to the rim to peer into the steaming, sulfurous depths. The volcano is part of the Pacific Ring of Fire, the horseshoe-shaped zone of frequent earthquakes and volcanic eruptions that circles the Pacific Ocean basin. The area around Mount Bromo is home to the Tenggerese people, an ethnic subgroup of Javanese who practice a unique form of Hinduism, one of the few remaining Hindu communities in predominantly Muslim Java. According to Tenggerese legend, the caldera was formed when a princess named Roro Anting and her husband Joko Seja were unable to have children. They prayed to the mountain gods, who promised them 25 children on the condition that they sacrifice the youngest child to the volcano. When their 25th child, Kesuma, was born, the parents tried to break their promise. The mountain erupted in anger, and Kesuma was swept into the crater. From within the volcano, his voice promised that the eruption would cease and the land would be fertile if his family made annual offerings. This legend forms the basis of the Yadnya Kasada ceremony, held annually during the full moon of the 12th month in the Tenggerese calendar, usually around July or August. This spiritual relationship with the volcano reflects a broader Indonesian worldview that sees nature not as something to be conquered, but as something to be respected and lived with in harmony. Despite the dangers Bromo has killed people in major eruptions, the Tenggerese continue to live in its shadow and worship it as sacred. This relationship demonstrates a cultural resilience and spiritual depth that has survived for generations. Most visitors begin their Bromo experience in the middle of the night, departing from nearby towns like Semoro Lawang or Probolinggo around 3:00 or 4:00 a.m. The goal is to reach the famous viewpoint at Mount Penanjakan, 9,088 feet, before sunrise. The journey itself is an adventure, bumping along rough roads in four-wheel drive vehicles, ascending through cloud forests, and finally emerging above the clouds to the viewpoint. As dawn approaches, the crowd at Penanjacan grows silent with anticipation. The sky gradually shifts from black to deep blue, then purple, orange, and finally brilliant gold as the sun crests the horizon. From this vantage point, you see the entire Tengah caldera spread below, the sea of sand looking ethereal in the morning mist, Mount Bromo releasing its constant plume of smoke, and behind it all, the perfect cone of Mount Semeru, occasionally sending up its own volcanic clouds. Standing at the rim is both terrifying and exhilarating. The crater is about 2,300 feet in diameter and 650 feet deep. Below you, the crater floor churns with sulfurous smoke and steam, making strange rumbling and hissing sounds. The walls of the crater are striated in colors ranging from yellow sulfur to red iron oxide to black volcanic rock. The smell of sulfur is strong, like rotten eggs, and the ground trembles occasionally with the volcano's breathing. The surrounding landscape varies dramatically with the seasons. During the dry season, April to October, the sea of sand is dusty and brown, while the wet season, November to March, can bring mist, rain, and even cold temperatures at elevation, sometimes creating frost on the volcanic sand. This active volcano, which could erupt catastrophically at any time, is also a sacred site where people pray, make offerings, and find spiritual connection. The Tenggerese people demonstrate that humans can live in harmony with nature's most powerful forces through respect, ritual, and acceptance of our place in the natural order. Spotted Lake, Kayachayaluke, Canada. Spotted Lake is located near the city of Os in British Columbia's South Okanagan region, close to the Canada-United States border. This saline endorheic lake sits in a valley characterized by desert-like conditions, the driest region in Canada, receiving only about 12 inches of precipitation annually. The lake itself is relatively small, covering approximately 38 acres, but its unique chemical composition makes it one of the most minerally concentrated bodies of water in the world. The water of Spotted Lake contains extremely high concentrations of various minerals, including magnesium sulfate, Epsom salts, calcium, sodium sulfates, and notably, high levels of silver and titanium. It also contains 8 other minerals and some trace elements, including small doses of cadmium, zinc, manganese, and iron. The specific combination and concentration of these minerals are rare and give the lake its remarkable properties. During spring, when rainfall and snowmelt fill the lake, it appears as a normal body of water. However, as the hot, dry summer progresses, most of the water evaporates, leaving behind concentrated mineral deposits. These deposits form into circular pools, separated by hardened mineral walkways in between. Each pool has a slightly different mineral composition, which causes the varying colors. Some pools are pale yellow from sulfur compounds, others are blue or green from different mineral combinations, and still others take on white or brown hues. The spotted pattern isn't static. It changes throughout the summer as evaporation continues and different minerals crystallize. By late summer, much of the lake bed is dry and hard, with the remaining pools being the most concentrated. The size and number of spots can vary from year to year depending on weather patterns, precipitation levels, and summer temperatures. For the Okanagan Syilx people, who have inhabited this region for thousands of years, Killuck is a sacred site of profound spiritual and medicinal importance. The lake is considered one of the most sacred sites in Syilx territory, a place where the earth provides healing medicine and where spiritual energy is particularly strong. Traditional Syilx knowledge holds that each of the different colored mineral pools has distinct healing properties. The Syilx people have used the mineral-rich mud and water from the lake for generations to treat ailments ranging from body aches and skin diseases to more serious conditions. Warriors would immerse themselves in certain pools to heal battle wounds. The sick would be brought to the lake for treatment. Women would use specific minerals from the lake in various healing preparations. There are numerous stories in Syilx oral history about the lake's powers. One legend tells of two warring tribes who declared a truce so that both sides could access the healing waters of Killuck. According to this story, the warriors were so moved by the sacred nature of the place that they laid down their weapons and made peace. Whether literally true or metaphorical, this story illustrates the profound respect the lake commanded. During World War I, the lake's minerals were actually harvested and shipped to Eastern munitions factories to use in manufacturing explosives, a period Syilx elders speak of with sadness as a violation of sacred space. For years afterward, the lake was privately owned, and the Syilx people's access to their sacred site was restricted. This changed in 2001 when the Osage Indian Band successfully purchased the land containing the lake, returning it to indigenous stewardship after generations. Spotted Lake is a rare example of an extreme environment where only specially adapted microorganisms can survive. The high salinity and mineral content make the water uninhabitable for most life forms, yet certain extremophiles, organisms that thrive in extreme conditions, flourish here. These microorganisms are of interest to astrobiologists because they provide insights into how life might exist in extreme environments on other planets. Some researchers have studied whether the mineral composition of Spotted Lake could provide insights for developing therapeutic treatments or for understanding mineral formation in similar environments elsewhere in the world. The lake serves as a natural laboratory for studying evaporite mineral formation, the process by which minerals crystallize as water evaporates. Today, visitors can view Spotted Lake from a pull-off area along Highway 3. Interpretive signs explain both the geological processes that create the spotted appearance and the cultural significance to the Sioux people. The best time to visit is during the summer months, particularly July through September, when the spots are most pronounced and the color variations most dramatic. The surrounding landscape is characteristic of the South Okanagan semi-arid shrubland with sagebrush, prickly pear cacti, and bunchgrass. The area is home to various wildlife, including rattlesnakes, so visitors who do walk near the fence should be cautious. The region's desert-like conditions, rare in Canada, create a landscape that feels more like Arizona or New Mexico than what most people expect from British Columbia. Spotted Lake teaches us about appropriate relationship with natural wonders. Not every beautiful place must be touched, walked upon, or possessed. Sometimes the most profound experiences come from thoughtful observation and respect for meanings that transcend our individual desires. In our age of selfies and social media, where every experience seems to demand immediate, intimate access, Spotted Lake stands as a gentle but firm reminder that some things are more precious when approached with reverence and restraint. Giants of the Patagonian steppe, Torres del Paine, Chile. Torres del Paine National Park is located in Chilean Patagonia, in the Magallanes region, approximately 70 miles north of Puerto Natales and 200 miles northwest of Punta Arenas. The park covers approximately 700 square miles of diverse terrain, from the Patagonian steppe to mountains, glaciers, rivers, and lakes. The park's elevations range from about 165 feet to over 10,000 feet at the highest peaks. The park's most iconic features are the three granite towers, torres in Spanish, that give the park its name. These massive monoliths rise dramatically from the surrounding landscape, reaching heights of about 8,200 to 9,350 feet. The towers are composed of granite formed approximately 12 million years ago, when molten rock was pushed up from beneath the Earth's crust, but cooled before reaching the surface. Over millions of years, the softer sedimentary rock that once covered the granite eroded away, exposing these spectacular spires. Adjacent to the towers are the Cuernos del Paine, the Horns of Paine, another set of spectacular peaks that are actually older than the towers. The Cuernos are composed of sedimentary rock capped with darker metamorphic rock, creating a distinctive striped appearance. These peaks reach heights of around 6,500 to 8,500 feet and present a more gradual, horn-like profile compared to the sheer vertical towers. The park sits at the intersection of several distinct ecosystems. The western portion receives heavy precipitation from weather systems coming off the Pacific Ocean, resulting in lush southern beech forests and numerous glaciers descending from the southern Patagonian ice field, the third largest ice field in the world after Antarctica and Greenland. The eastern portion is much drier, characterized by the Patagonian steppe, vast grasslands reminiscent of the prairies of North America, but with uniquely Patagonian flora adapted to the intense winds and harsh conditions. The park's landscape is dotted with spectacular lakes in shades of turquoise, blue, and gray. These colors are created by glacial flow, fine particles of rock ground by glaciers and suspended in the water. Different concentrations of these particles, along with varying depths and light conditions, create the stunning color variations. Major lakes include Grey Lake, Lago Grey, Nordenskjöld Lake, Lago Nordenskjöld, and Pejerey Lake, Lago Pejerey. Visiting Torres del Paine is an experience that assaults all your senses and challenges your physical limits while rewarding you with some of the most spectacular scenery on Earth. The park offers various trails and circuits, from day hikes to multi-day treks that attract hikers from around the world. The most famous trek is the W Circuit, so named because its route on a map forms a rough W shape. This trek typically takes 4 to 5 days and covers about 50 miles, visiting the park's most spectacular sites: the base of the Tours, the French Valley, Val del Francais between the mountains and Grey Glacier. For more experienced and ambitious hikers, the O Circuit completes the full loop around the Paine Massif, taking 8 to 9 days and covering approximately 80 miles. The wildlife of Torres del Paine is another highlight. Guanacos, the wild relatives of llamas, are abundant throughout the park, often seen grazing in herds on the steppe or even near hiking trails. These elegant animals, with their cinnamon-colored coats and curious dispositions, are completely wild and show little fear of humans. The park is also home to the endangered South Andean huemul deer, found only in this region. Birdwatchers can spot Andean condors, one of the world's largest flying birds, with wingspans reaching 10 feet, soaring on thermal currents around the peaks. The best time to visit is during the southern hemisphere summer, November to March, when temperatures are milder, though still cool, ranging from 40-65 degrees F, and daylight lasts up to 17 hours. However, this is also the busiest season. Shoulder seasons, October and April, offer fewer crowds and can provide equally spectacular conditions, though weather is more unpredictable and some facilities may be closed. Torres del Paine National Park embodies the raw, untamed spirit of Patagonia, a place where nature operates at extremes and humans are merely visitors in a landscape shaped by wind, ice, and time. The park teaches us about resilience, both ecological and human. The vegetation here has adapted to withstand hurricane-force winds. Animals survive in conditions that would challenge most species, and humans who visit must humble themselves before nature's power or face serious consequences. The transformation from sheep ranch to protected wilderness demonstrates that ecological restoration is possible, though it requires patience. Those forests burned in 2011 won't fully recover in our lifetimes. Fingal's Cave, Scotland. Fingal's Cave is located on Staffa, a small uninhabited island covering only about 82 acres, situated 6 miles west of the Isle of Mull in the Inner Hebrides of Scotland. The island lies in the Atlantic Ocean, fully exposed to the powerful forces of North Atlantic weather systems. The cave itself is approximately 270 feet deep, 42 feet high at the entrance, and about 72 feet wide at its mouth. What makes Fingal's Cave extraordinary isn't just its size, but the remarkable geometry of its structure. The cave is formed entirely from hexagonally jointed basalt columns, a geological formation that occurs under very specific conditions. About 60 million years ago, during the Paleocene epoch, intense volcanic activity associated with the opening of the Atlantic Ocean produced massive lava flows across this region. As the molten basalt lava cooled relatively quickly and evenly, it contracted and cracked, forming the distinctive hexagonal columns through a process similar to how mud cracks form in drying lake beds, but on a much grander scale. The basalt columns of Staffa are part of the same lava flow that created the famous Giant's Causeway in Northern Ireland, approximately 75 miles to the south. This connection demonstrates the massive scale of the volcanic activity that shaped this region. The columns at Fingal's Cave range from about 12 to 24 inches in diameter and stack together so perfectly they appear almost manufactured, creating walls that look like they were designed by an architect rather than formed by nature. The cave was carved out over thousands of years by the relentless action of Atlantic waves eroding the rock. The sea has sculpted the cave into its current shape, removing softer material and creating the vaulted ceiling and cathedral-like interior. The cave's entrance faces northeast, and its depth extends into the island. At high tide, the cave floor is completely covered with water. At low tide, it's possible to walk along a natural pathway of broken basalt columns that forms a crude causeway along the cave's side. For centuries, Staffa and Fingal's Cave were known only to local Scottish fishermen and shepherds. The island's isolation and the treacherous waters surrounding it meant few people visited. The cave's name comes from the legendary Irish hero Fionn mac Cumhaill, Finn mac Cool in English, Fingal in Scottish Gaelic, the mythical giant who, according to legend, built the giants' causeway as stepping stones to Scotland. The hexagonal columns were thought by ancient peoples to be the work of giants, a not unreasonable assumption given their almost impossibly perfect geometry. Fingal's cave came to wider attention in 1772 when it was discovered by British naturalist Sir Joseph Banks, who was returning from Iceland and stopped at Staffa on the recommendation of local guides. Banks was astonished by what he found and published descriptions that captured public imagination. His account spread through European intellectual circles, and the cave became a must-visit destination for artists, writers, and composers during the Romantic era. In Scottish Gaelic culture, the cave and surrounding islands hold deeper significance. This region was part of the ancient kingdom of the Isles, and the waters around these islands have witnessed Viking raids, clan battles, and the movement of peoples over thousands of years. The name Staffa itself comes from the Old Norse staffa, meaning staff or pillar, referring to the columnar basalt, evidence that the Norse Vikings who settled these islands centuries ago were also struck by the unusual geology. Visiting Fingal's cave today remains an adventure requiring careful planning and favorable weather. The island of Staffa is accessible only by boat from the Isle of Mull or the mainland, and trips are entirely weather-dependent. The Atlantic waters around the island can be rough, and tours are frequently cancelled due to high seas, wind, or poor visibility. The color variations in the basalt are striking. While predominantly dark gray or black, the columns show bands of reddish-brown where iron has oxidized, and patches of bright orange lichen add splashes of color. The sea within the cave is remarkably clear, showing shades of deep green and blue, and when sunlight penetrates the interior, it creates shimmering patterns of light on the wet rock surfaces. The basalt columns themselves are endlessly fascinating. Each hexagon fits perfectly with its neighbors, and examining them closely reveals the incredible regularity of natural geometry. Some columns are straight and vertical, while others curve or lean at angles. Where columns have broken, you can see the cross-sections showing the hexagonal shapes in perfect clarity, like looking at the end of a honeycomb. Fingal's cave represents the intersection of natural wonder and human creativity, a place where the Earth's volcanic processes created something so geometrically perfect and aesthetically powerful that it has inspired art, music, and poetry for centuries. Perhaps most importantly, the cave reminds us that some of nature's greatest masterpieces are hidden away in remote, difficult-to-reach places, and that the effort required to experience them makes the encounter more meaningful. The cave doesn't exist for our benefit or pleasure. It simply is, carved by wind and wave over countless centuries, offering its beauty to those willing to make the journey and brave the elements to experience it. From the cliffs of Norway, where you can stand between sky and sea, to the tectonic rift in Iceland, where continents are literally pulling apart beneath your feet. From the volcanic fires of Indonesia, where mountains breathe smoke and steam, to the mineral miracles of a Canadian lake that paints itself in polka dots. From the windswept granite towers of Patagonia, where the earth scrapes the sky, to the basalt cathedral of Scotland, carved by ancient lava and the relentless sea. Perhaps most importantly, these natural wonders challenge us to step outside our comfort zones, to venture beyond the familiar and ordinary, and to remember that we are part of something infinitely larger than our daily concerns. In an era of climate change and environmental crisis, they remind us what's at stake, these irreplaceable treasures that took millions of years to form and could be damaged or destroyed in a single human lifetime. So here's my question for you. Which of these 6 wonders speaks most powerfully to your spirit? Is it the vertigo-inducing heights of Pulpit Rock, the geological drama of Fingal, the spiritual fire of Mount Bromo, the sacred healing waters of Spotted Lake, the raw wilderness of Torres del Paine, or the musical magic of Fingal's cave? Drop a comment below and tell me which destination you're adding to your bucket list and why. I love reading your thoughts and travel dreams. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss our next journey to the world's most incredible destinations. We are constantly exploring new places and bringing you the stories, history, and practical information you need to become a confident, informed traveler. The world is vast, beautiful, and waiting for you. See you in the next adventure.